Hello again. I am not one of the world's greatest intellects. Indeed, my intelligence level is pretty well dead on average. But sometimes I seem able to spot things which a lot of other people, such as politicians, ideologues, and academics, are not. I am prompted to muse along these lines by the news that in the United States, a member of the National Guard, a young woman, has been shot dead in Washington DC and another National Guardsman wounded in the same incident. An Afghan called Ramanullah Lakanwal has been arrested for this. This reminded me of one or two things in the news lately in this country. Uxbridge used to be a peaceful and prosperous London suburb, but due to its proximity to Heathrow Airport, it is now a dumping ground for illegal immigrants and asylum seekers. On October the 27th, a stabbing spree took place there, in the course of which a middle-aged Englishman walking his dog was hacked to death and a schoolboy seriously injured. An Afghan asylum seeker called Safi Dawood has been charged with murder in connection with this crime. Meanwhile, in Warwickshire, the very heart of Old England, a truly dreadful crime was committed by a young Afghan asylum seeker called Ahmad Mulakhil. He has pleaded guilty to raping a 12-year-old girl. 12 years old. Another Afghan called Mohammed Kabir denies kidnapping the child and choking her into submission before she was raped. This in a quiet market town in Warwickshire. Not a rough inner city neighbourhood of London, mind, but in the heart of England. What were these men doing there in the first place in such a quiet and peaceful part of our country? The answer is that it has been government policy to bring as many of these Afghan men to this country as we can possibly lay our hands on, and then to disperse them around Britain, especially in small towns and villages in out-of-the-way places. The government thinks, you see, that it's only fair that every part of Britain should take what it regards as a fair share of these dangerous characters. I am, you understand, summarising what has been said on the subject by spokesmen for this wretched government of ours. Over the last couple of years, around 36,000 Afghans have been brought here, many flown directly by the RAF following the fall of Afghanistan to the Taliban. The Americans did the same, flying many to the United States. You can see a scene inside a Globemaster aeroplane in the thumbnail to this video. There was a problem with these supposedly humanitarian gestures, and it is a wonder to me that nobody stops to think about it. Since the Russian invasion of Afghanistan in 1979, the people of that country have lived in a country either torn apart by war and armed resistance to an occupying army, sometimes Russian, sometimes American or British, or they have been forced to live under the medieval regime of Islamist extremists. Anybody in Afghanistan under the age of 50 has known nothing but these things. What do you think are the chances of boys growing up in such an environment ever acquiring a normal, peaceful, and civilised outlook on life? I would say offhand, practically zero. At the same time that we and the Americans were bringing all those Afghans, almost all of them young men, to our own countries, many more were moving on foot to neighbouring nations such as Pakistan and Iran. Those two countries have now had an opportunity of seeing at first hand just what the Afghan refugees are like, and they're now deporting them wholesale and returning them to Afghanistan. Pakistan are sending thousands each week back to their own country, and they aim to get rid of 2 million of them by the end of the year. Let me pose this question. If the two countries closest to Afghanistan and sharing a common religion, and in many cases a language with these people, find it impossible to integrate them into their societies, or even tolerate their presence due to their violence, what do you think the chances are that once they are brought to Uxbridge or Warwickshire or Washington DC, they will fit in peacefully there? I am, as I say, no expert nor a particular brain box, but I would say offhand that the chances are negligible and that we are laying the foundations for a disastrous situation.